No matter which part of the world you're from, chances are high that you've already sat in this chair at some point. This is what's called the Monobloc, arguably the most sold chair in human history. Yet, despite its popularity, it still draws quite a bit of criticism. In fact, in Basel, Switzerland, the chair even sparked a political debate. For years, a local law actually banned restaurants from placing these chairs in their outdoor seating areas, because many believed they ruined the look of the city. But how did the Monobloc come into our lives in the first place? And should it be seen as an example of bad design, or perhaps great design? You'll spot these chairs nearly everywhere. Outside cafes in Denmark, inside offices in Tanzania, and every places in the world. They've quietly embedded themselves into our daily lives. For anyone interested in design, chairs can be a fascinating subject. You think a chair's one of those things that wouldn't need to change much over time, but in reality, they do evolve. Their design shifts in shape and materials depending on their function. Some break traditional expectations and challenge our idea of what a chair should look like. Like with many objects, designing a chair means finding the balance between visual aesthetics and practical use. Sometimes, chair design even captures the spirit of an era, like Marcel Breuer's Wassily chair, which used tubular steel inspired by bicycle manufacturing, helping define modern design. Or how in the 60s and 70s, pop art brought in bold color palettes, and the excitement around space exploration brought futuristic, often circular or egg-shaped chairs into private homes. But the Monobloc stands apart. It's so widespread, it almost loses meaning. Take a look at this image. Can you guess where or when it was taken? Probably not. That's an observation made by American media scholar and blogger Ethan Zuckerman. He describes the Monobloc as an context-free object. Usually, when we look at a random photo, the objects within help us guess the time or place. But with the Monobloc, you can't do that. These chairs appear across all continents. If you found one lying on a beach, there's no way to tell whether someone brought it, or if it washed up from halfway across the world. It might be the ultimate symbol of globalization, yet also highlights how many of our objects still remain tied to specific localities. Critics of the Monobloc raise valid points. Some argue that it's not an example of sustainable design. Others see it as the poster child for mass production and consumer culture, sacrificing uniqueness for convenience. In that sense, the chair can be interpreted as a symbol of globalization's downside, replacing regional traditions with generic uniformity. But one could flip that idea. Its popularity didn't come out of nowhere. It's affordable, and affordability matters a lot. It supports social inclusion and economic growth. That's what makes the Monobloc profoundly democratic. You might think it's strange to be making such a fuss over a simple chair, but that's the whole point. Looking at something so ordinary opens the door to larger, more abstract discussions. And this tension between its function, symbolism, and criticism is part of why so many artists and designers have used the Monobloc as the basis for their artwork. So, where did the Monobloc come from? The earliest version of a Monobloc is credited to Canadian designer D.C. Simpson in 1946. However, back then, the molding technology wasn't yet suitable for cheap, large-scale manufacturing. The concept may simply have been too early for its time. By the 1960s, plastic molded chairs started attracting attention. Designers like Helmut Bätzner with his Bowfinger chair and Colombo with his chair Universale experimented with molded plastic parts, though they used several components rather than a single piece. But perhaps the most pivotal step came with the introduction of a now iconic design: Werner Panton's single-piece cantilever chair. Though it might seem odd to compare a high-end designer chair with a humble garden seat, Panton's design was revolutionary. It was the first plastic chair produced with the same molding technique used in today's monoblocks. Plus, Panton made it stackable, which is a key feature still seen in monoblocks today. After Panton's success, many chairs around the world were influenced by this production technique, and with the arrival of more affordable thermoplastics, large-scale production of monoblocks became feasible. In 1972, French designer Honoré Massonnet released the Fauteuil 300, but the real boom likely began in 1983, when the Grosfillex group launched their resin garden chair, sold cheaply in massive numbers. Monoblocks are made using injection molding. This involves heating polypropylene pellets to 220 degrees Celsius and injecting the molten plastic into a mold shaped like a chair. That's where the name monobloc comes from. The final product is made from a single solid piece of plastic. The molds used in production can be incredibly costly, ranging from hundreds of thousands to even millions of dollars. However, once set up, the process is highly efficient. It requires minimal labor, low material input, and little time. As a result, a single chair in production only costs about $3 and is usually sold for around $10. Today, monoblocks come in a wide variety. Some have vertical slats, others horizontal. Some have armrests or handles, and they're available in a broad spectrum of colors and slight shape variations. But no matter the version, you recognize a monobloc when you see one. In a way, the chair evolved through something like natural market selection. Its material thickness is just enough to be sturdy, yet still lightweight and inexpensive. It's weather-resistant, stackable, and easy to carry. There's not much left to change because it works everywhere. Maybe in the end, it's the ideal design, ticking all the boxes a designer might aim for. And yet, you might still dislike it. And that's where context returns. Our interpretation of design often depends on what we know and the associations we make. Maybe the monobloc isn't the problem. Maybe we just don't give it enough credit. These plain white plastic chairs are everywhere. So maybe, just maybe, it's time we started appreciating them. Thanks a lot for watching. If you liked this video, please hit the like button and consider subscribing. See simple, think deep.